You tried the peppermint oil, the plug-in gadgets, a dozen snap traps, and the mice licked the peanut butter clean and kept coming. Here's the hard truth. The reason they come back isn't the bait. It's the gap the width of a nickel you never found. A house mouse slips through a gap a quarter-inch wide, about a pencil's width. So here's the honest version. Not a miracle spray, but why they keep coming back and how to shut the door for good. Long before there was an exterminator to call, farm families didn't trap their way out. They sealed it out, in an order most people get backwards. And they did it without a drop of poison, because poison is what costs so many folks their dog. Let's get into it. Start with why the mice keep winning, because it decides everything else. A mouse doesn't need an open door, it needs a quarter-inch gap, and your house has more of those than you'd guess. Around pipes, under the garage door, where the dryer vent leaves the wall. The University of California's pest program puts it plainly. Sealing those openings, they call it exclusion, is the most successful and permanent form of mouse control there is. More permanent than traps or bait, because those only lower the number for a while. The fix that lasts isn't a product you buy every month, it's a hole you close once. And here's why a while is never enough. One female mouse can have 5 to 10 litters a year, 5 or 6 pups each. You can trap 40 and still lose, because indoors they breed all year. That's why folks who never seem to have mice aren't better at trapping. They left the mice nowhere to get in. So the goal was never to kill your way to zero. It's to close the door so no new ones get in. And there's a right order to it. Get that order wrong, and you seal a mouse inside the wall, a problem we'll come back to. Step 1 is the one almost everybody skips. Get them out before you seal anything. Close the holes while mice are still inside, and they die in the wall. You'll smell it for a week or more. So first, take away the reasons they stay. Food in sealed metal or glass, pet food put up at night, crumbs and grease off the floor. A mouse that finds nothing to eat is a mouse looking for the exit. Cut off the food for a few nights and half the battle's won before you touch a tool. Then find where they get in. The old trick. Dust a little flour along the baseboards at night, and by morning the footprints show you their highways. Mice run along walls, not across open floor, so the gaps you want are down low, where the wall meets the floor and where pipes and wires come through. Leave one easy exit open for a few days while you clean and set traps, and let them show themselves out. Only once the traffic has stopped do you close that last door. Set a few snap traps along those same walls meanwhile, and you'll thin out the ones that don't take the hint. Step 2 is sealing. And the material you use is the whole difference between a fix and a do-over. The mistake most people make is stuffing the hole with steel wool or spraying in expanding foam. Foam. They gnaw through like cotton candy. Steel wool lasts a season, then rusts out and leaves the gap open again. You seal it in spring, and by fall the same mice walk back through the same corner. What the extension experts recommend is metal they can't chew. Copper mesh or quarter-inch hardware cloth packed into the gap and sealed at the edge with caulk to hold it. The caulk isn't the barrier, the metal is. The caulk just keeps it in place. For a bigger opening, a vent, a spot where a pipe used to be, cut a piece of hardware cloth larger than the gap and screw it down flat. Work low all the way around the house, under the garage door, the dryer vent, where pipes and cables enter, and the long seam where the house meets its foundation. That seam is the mouse highway of them all. A few dollars of copper mesh and an afternoon closes the doors that a lifetime of traps never could. Now the part the biggest videos won't tell you. Put the poison down. The rodent baits sold as safe are blood thinners, and a poisoned mouse doesn't die on the spot. It wanders for days. In those days, your cat catches it, your dog finds it, the chickens get to it, and the poison passes right to them. The National Pesticide Information Center calls this secondary poisoning, and it reaches past your pets, The owls and hawks that hunt those mice for you can die from eating the poisoned ones. You'd be poisoning the very predators that keep the next generation of mice down. A barn with a couple of owls hunting over it beats any bait box on the shelf. And even when it seems to work, the mouse crawls off to die inside a wall, a smell you can't reach for a week or more. If you need to bring the numbers down while you seal, a plain snap trap is the honest tool. Set it against the wall, trigger facing the baseboard, where they actually run. It's quick, costs almost nothing, and leaves no poison where a child, a dog, or a hawk can reach. While you're at it, let's clear the myths. A summer of them just wastes your money. Peppermint oil on cotton balls, the plug-in ultrasonic gadgets, dryer sheets in the drawers, none of them clear an infestation. They might make a drawer smell nice, but a mouse isn't after a pleasant room. It's after warmth and a crumb. The peppermint fades in a couple days, and a cold, hungry mouse walks right past it. Folks in the comments say the mice practically nest in the stuff. The government's own trade commission warned the makers of those ultrasonic boxes to prove they work, and mice simply get used to the sound. Put the gadget money toward a few dollars of metal mesh that actually closes the door. The old ways are the boring ones that actually last. Take away the food, seal the gaps with metal, and set an honest trap where they run. There's one last step people rush, and it's the one that can actually make you sick: cleaning up after them. Do not sweep the droppings, and do not vacuum them. The Centers for Disease Control warns that sweeping or vacuuming dry droppings puts tiny particles into the air you breathe. That's how people catch a lung illness called hantavirus. It's rare but serious, and it comes from exactly the dry droppings and nest material people sweep up without a thought. Instead, open the room and let it air out about half an hour first. Then put on gloves and spray the whole area until soaked with disinfectant or a bleach solution, about 1.5 cups of bleach to a gallon of water. Let it sit 5 minutes, wipe with paper towels instead of a broom, and seal the waste in 2 bags. Wash your hands well afterward, and if you found a nest, wipe down the shelf or drawer it was in. It takes a few minutes more than a broom, and it's the difference between cleaning up a mess and breathing one in. If you want this whole plan on one page, we put it in the free field edition. A seal-out map of where mice sneak in, the right materials, and the safe way to clean up, to tape inside a cabinet. The link is below. It's the kind of job you do once and never think about again, which is the whole point. And tell us in the comments where they're getting into your place. Under the door, behind the stove, up from the crawl space, and we read every one. Seal the gaps, skip the poison, and let the house keep the mice out. Spend less, live more. The Thrifty Almanac.